used to have a thing called the soft rush, and South Field was totally dirt, all dirt. And it pitted the sophomores against the freshmen. And there were three events. One is a volleyball where the sophomores would always lose to the freshmen because the freshmen would have 400 guys and the sophomores would have 200 guys. Then there was the most horrific one was the grease pole. They put a beanie on top of a pole, grease pole. The sophomores gathered around it, and the freshmen had to get the grease pole. It wasn't too bad until I was in a chokehold by a freshman. My pants were ripped off. A classmate of mine was punched out. But outside of that, it was a very mild-mannered group.
I was a commuter, which...
Where were you commuting from?
From Queens. But I spent so much time on campus and doing various activities that I really didn't... I spent more time on campus than I did at home. I also was involved with men's basketball, or it was just basketball then. Also, I broadcast with on WKCR, had a sports show, did play-by-play broadcasting, things like that. I had a summer job which led into an off-season job at CBS.
Oh, wow.
At that time, they did a lot of shows live, like the Ed Sullivan Show, like Jackie Gleason, all these, and Ed Sullivan, which was a live show, and I was in backstage from 7 in the morning until 10 at night, assigning dressing rooms and doing odds and ends. So that was pretty interesting, not only during the summer, but in the fall, and I worked backstage. Well, I was looking for after my freshman year, I needed a job, and it turns out that I was interviewing a Columbia guy who graduated probably in the early 50s, and he hired me. The pay was minimal, obviously, but that's what I did. And I got to meet a lot of Ed Sullivan, and I got to meet Jackie Gleason and all those guys, Arthur Godfrey, all the big stars. And I did meet the Beatles.
Able to interact, met them at the airport, sat through a press conference, excuse me, and went to the Plaza Hotel where they were staying. It was a fairly unusual thing for a young college graduate. The Beatles were staying at the Plaza, and one of the disc jockeys, Murray Kaufman, who was also a press agent, asked me to go with him to the Beatles, see the Beatles, and we went there. I worked the tape recorder, and they were as advertised. They were terrific, good senses of humor. Didn't think much of the press they were getting, although they did do a terrific job.